when you watch the first episode, and the second episode is Valentine's Day, we're walking through Kimmy Ma and I need to know who the hell is Tokyo Vanity and a bunch. So we're going through their situation. Dometi is taking them through the kitchen. We're cooking food. There's food. There's all kind of delicious food. And then he's taking them through the culture, the dress. And then Dr. Page is literally revealing their ancestry and telling them where they're from and what their people were all about. I thought y'all were working together. That's great editing.
That's kindred spirit too, because it was interesting. I watched it for the first time all the way through. I watched in segments before to do the voiceovers and see how things were, but I watched it all the way through, and it was almost eerie how much of the same things we were saying. And bottling off of one, it was, but nah, that was all organic. But we never saw each other.
How did this come about? Because I was low-key salty. I was like, oh, hell no. y'all not going to defile my ancestry, my African ancestry with this love and hip-hop nonsense. No, hell to the knick-knack. No, I was mad. I was mad, Dometi. And I was this close to being like, nah, I'm not going to promote this. But I said, let me watch it. Let me give it a chance. How did this come about?
So it came about, Gina might know it from another vantage point, but it came about because for a few years, Mona had actually had this idea. And
Mona Scott, the producer and creator of Love and Hip Hop. Hello.
Yes, Mona Scott Young, yep. And so who also created Black Ink Crew, because after they find out where they're from, they get tattoos as well. So she had this concept for a few years, and I believe they actually had their DNA done and sealed for a few years before this came together. And so I like to say it came together because God was putting everything on ice until I got a chance to meet everybody, because I think I was in the right place, that spiritual alignment, what I mean? Humbly speaking, I think that's how it all came together. So when they came and told me about the treatment, it was, surreal to me because, as you know, Karen, I go back and forth to Ghana. I take Black Americans there. For the past few years, I've just been quietly doing what I can to unify the Black diaspora, the African diaspora. And, when they told me about it, it was like, man, this is like genius, right up my alley.
So how did they get you, Dr. Page?
So I met Mona Scott Young several years ago, and she took the test. And we did a whole reveal experience for her in DC. She came to DC and we did it. And that was what, she did the reveal. She went to the Embassy of Cameroon. They had a whole ceremony for her there. And that is what I think planted the seed for her, that she, what if the cast of Love and Hip Hop did this? And so we'd been, behind the scenes trying to test different cast members in hopes that this would come to life. And here it is.
All right. Watching it, I changed my mind. Because as I was watching it, I was like, this was the missing link. All the debaucherous, degrading, horrific imagery and the way in which we talk to each other on these programs, all of these Love and Hip Hop and housewives and all this. Perhaps this experience, and there was a hint of it, I believe it was Tokyo Vanity, Africans come here and they don't treat us like, they see us or something. And there's like this riff. And for me, I've never seen, of course I've seen the riff, but being here, it's very clear that we are one people globally. Maybe this would be the bridge that was needed. And coming from this community that has so much influence and so many followers and so many eyeballs, I think it was an important message. What do you say about that?
I think that's what made me so passionate about it. And by the way, Karen, I was sitting here with bated breath because I wanted to know what you thought about it. So I'm glad it made you a believer, a reluctant believer. But I think that is what has been frustrating me, to be transparent with some of my content. Sometimes I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. Oftentimes, if I'm doing a documentary about Black excellence, I'm talking to Black folk who believe we're excellent. I'm talking to academics, I'm talking to people who the hood might respect it. And they're like, oh, Dometi does that deep stuff. But that I didn't have much content aside from red carpet stuff that they really wanted to watch and clued in on, that also served an educational component. So I think that's where we need to be. We need to be able to engage in that way. And I was actually talking offline with Dr. Gina about this, about how the audience that engages with African ancestry, how they too now are introduced to VH1 platform in a way that that I found interesting. So I don't know if it's the same for you, Gina, but that was
what are you seeing, Dr. Page?
So, I was nervous too, Karen, because I actually had never seen Love and Hip Hop, had only heard the stories, people talking about it. And I was like, I'm not sure that, we spent all this time building a brand, and to let that all go in one fell swoop. But Mona was very clear that she wanted to teach and educate and create an environment where her cast members could learn something new about themselves, and that the viewers could learn something new about themselves. And I really racked my brain to figure out how possibly could it go wrong. And I felt like this just isn't the place for that to go wrong, for anything to go wrong. Yeah. So I felt very comfortable.
And it's, energy is everything, and you can shift. Just one little thing can shift. And, when they come in and they see you, there's a reverence immediately. Because, Dr. Gina Page, I think our birthdays are a couple of days apart. You got that certain kind of energy. And so they come in and it's like instant reverence. And then there's not going to be a whole lot of, Tokyo tried with little, but there's a reverence for what you do that's undeniable. So it's like, I'm here to serve, and I'm also here to heal and to bring folk together. We ain't got room for this. Go ahead.
I even love that. But that's one of the things that inspired me, though, to do the group tours to Ghana, was what Tokyo talked about. This, I call it like a bad game of telephone. You know what I'm saying? White colonizers did portray negative images of Black Americans on the soil. Africans aren't fully aware often of what slavery really did. You know what I'm saying, to Blacks in the West. And so there's that. And then you also have how I grew up, where I was teased for my name. And I was also speechless by your introduction just now, because I take a lot of pride in my name, and it used to be a point of contention. I used to be teased for my complexion. But I called every African name in the book, but I knew it was coming from a place of just not knowing. And so when Tokyo said that, I'm like, yes, we can have this conversation and put it out there. And it's not just me talking. I got Busiswa here to support me as somebody on the soil,
Well, we're going to keep having this conversation. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dr. Page.
I was just going to say, another thing that I thought was really cool that I saw when I saw the show, Dometi, was how everybody was celebrating each other. And that's not something I've heard about this show. But everybody, they were just looking at each other and with such admiration, and looking at the photos and big upping each other on how they looked and where they were from. And I thought that was important to see.
I didn't even think about that from that angle. That's true. And so it's like you have this theory that if we all knew more about ourselves, we would see ourselves in a better light, which means I have to see you in a different light too. And you hope this thing is true. I hope everybody has a kumbaya moment when they get their ancestry, but what if they don't? And so it was really affirming that they genuinely had these experiences. And so that was, I don't know, it warmed my heart, man, for real.
Yeah. You even gave a brother a pass for being a polygamist. All right. So Dr. Page, because it's in his DNA, polyamory and polygamy is in his DNA. I know you have to run, Dr. Page, but of course, open seat. We got to talk off mic, of course, and tell me when I'm going to Sierra Leone so I can prepare myself mentally and get my ticket first class.
Okay, perfect. I'll see you soon, Dometi. Thank you. I love you too.
Dr. Gina Page, you can check out AfricanAncestry.com, AfricanAncestry.com. Talking about love and hip hop and what the journey was amazing. And to find out that, because I was semi-anti all of the tattooing, I was thinking we were doing too much. But then to find out that's exactly what we were doing when we were on the continent, all of the adornments, all of the rings, all of the tattoos, that's all us. We gave that to the world as well. Made me think a little bit differently. And some of those tattoos were really beautiful. I love the one that Remy Ma got on her ankle. Kimmy Ma.
Was beautiful.
Yeah.
Rich Dollar got a dope one with Africa and the lion within it.
That was beautiful as well. And the one that Tokyo Vanity, making sure that her mother's name wasn't covered with I think she's from Cameroon. Then put a little heart there for her because that was her Matriclan line that she got done. Next week you got Yandy You
Yep.
got who's Mama somebody?
Mama D, Mama D, Little Scrappy's mom.
Little Scrappy's mom. Who else? Who else is on next week?
Let me see. We got Mama D, Yandy, Papoose, and
Papoose.
Carly Red.
Carly
Red.
Brown. Okay, you saved the interesting ones. I mean, these were all interesting, to be honest with you. So what's going to be different? You're going to take them through the food, or y'all going to eat something different than fufu? What are you going to do, jollof instead?
So we actually get a chance to meet Nomsebo. Well, I'm having trouble pronouncing her name. She's South African, and South African dialect. They do the click. I can't really do it.
The click.
I can't really do it, but it's known that Bo. Nomsebo. Something like that.
Closer. Okay.
Oh, you good. You got it good.
I can roll my R's too, but it's it's a tongue thing. Dometi, don't sweat me. All right, so
Nomsebo teaches us. She sings Jerusalema, the song Jerusalema, and so she teaches us to dance, and she Skypes in from South Africa, which is really cool. They bring artifacts that relate to the countries they're from, and then we break down what those artifacts mean, what they mean to them personally. And we just talk about this in the same way. We have another open conversation about the experience and whatnot. And Carly Red actually had the most visceral experience too. So we can talk about that in a minute too.
Oh, we're gonna watch it next week. Cause I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I feel like hip hop has devolved from KRS-One, leaders of the new leaders of the new school, A Tribe Called Quest, Chuck D. I'm not believe Flavor Flav over there, and Professor Griff. People who read, understood some things. Even Nas. There was a whole era of you needed to know some things, to open your mouth and even Rakim. These were not empty lyrics. We've gone
even Nas, even people who leaned into the gangster aesthetic and did some coke rap every now and then.
Come on,
he always was about knowledge.
Yes, because he's grounded in who he is, right?
Yes,
Talib Kweli. Right. There's a grounding. Jay-Z has evolved. That last 444 gave you that, but it wasn't as successful as the earlier ones because there's a generation of young people that have been nothing has been poured into them. Nothing but mumbles, sex, rape, debauchery, cocaine, scissor, all of the things. Hey, Lil Wayne, all of the things that are just horrible. That's what they've been poured into, and that has become, where we are now. And so for me, watching them, oh, wait a minute, it almost, I don't even want to call it elevation because I just feel like there's this devolvement that is base. It's the basest part of ourselves that we allow ourselves this, because it's comfortable. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
So we don't require much when we're in that space, right?
But it allowed us to get into this element where we're getting back to it made us it lets you see that they aren't as disconnected as we thought they were. That our people aren't as disconnected from Africa as we think they are. From the customs we talked about, if you talk about pouring libations, when we pour out liquor for somebody who's fallen, all these different hood customs come from Africa, and all we just need to do is really just connect those broken links.